On February 12, the US Department of Agriculture was announcing a suspension on all imports of Mexican avocados into the country. The news broke after an inspector was threatened over the phone by what is believed to be a member of a drug cartel, but the USDA really never specified that. But according to the Washington Post, the inspector in question had discovered an illegal shipment of avocados. Now, this suspension was a huge problem both for Mexico and the US, because you see, imports from Mexico account for 80% of the US's avocados. So abruptly stopping the trade was going to highly affect Mexico's economy, as the country exports more than $2.8 billion worth of avocados in the US, and also leaving California as the only supplier of avocado for the entire country. But let's go back to the source of this whole thing. So the question is, what's really going on with those Mexican cartels? I mean, usually when referring to them, the first things we think about are the violence and all the drug deals. But in the past 20 years or so, the situation has dramatically changed in the region. So much so that saying they have evolved would be a huge understatement. I mean, they've gone from selling heroin, weed, and cocaine to stuff like actually attacking gas pipes and stealing fuel, which they then resell. I mean, they're also involved in the control of gold mines in the Guerrero region. And that's not even everything. In the Altamira region, they've managed to force the local Coca-Cola and Pepsi bottlers to close the distribution centers, as they were trying to extort money from the owners. The thing is that all these activities are much safer than dealing drugs, and in some cases they can be even used to launder their money. But the one domain that has become the most popular and is now getting lots of attention is how these cartels have so much control over the entire process of avocado production in the state of Michoacan, which, by the way, is the only Mexican state allowed to export the fruit to the US. As I said earlier, Mexico exports about $2.8 billion worth of avocados every year to the US. Some even call it green gold in the region. So it quickly caught the eye of curious gangs trying to make a bit of money. One of the ways they do it is actually very simple. They put in place a sort of protection racket, saying something like, "Hey, it's a nice and productive farm you've got there. To make sure it stays productive and nothing happens to it, you should pay us and we'll protect it." And following that philosophy, a drug cartel named Los Viagras started imposing a $250 per hectare fee to farmers in the Michoacan region. Of course, other cartels started noticing the Viagra's success and quickly tried to grab a portion of the market. And that is exactly what Jalisco New Generation and other drug cartels tried to. The two groups actually ended up confronting each other in a forest one day, and it resulted in the death of 10 people. So that's how motivated those cartels are to control that resource. But taxing is not the only way they do it. They sometimes just join avocado pickers on farms, and using their weapons, they force them to work entire days, but they end up not paying them. Picking avocados is a very well paid job in the country. In 2019, avocado pickers were paid about $60 per day, which is way higher compared to the minimum wage, which was $5 at the time. But the job has become way more dangerous with the constant risk that cartels represent. Finally, another method they like to use to extort the fruits is by literally hijacking avocado trucks in the middle of the road and stealing everything it contains. It's a bit more impressive than the other method, and it can also be very lucrative. So what's really happening in Mexico right now is pretty much a war between Michoacan farmers and the cartels, as some farmers have even decided to create their own local police to protect themselves from the criminals. Michoacan is the best place in the whole country to grow the fruit, as it receives lots of rain, lots of sunshine, and its volcanic soil is very rich. In the farmers' mind, the government isn't doing much to help them protect their resources, and some people even started considering the option of boycotting Mexican avocados to protest against the cartels. but that would just be a very bad idea, as it would hurt the entire Mexican economy, as avocados provide thousands of well-paid jobs and bring in billions of dollars. So starting a boycott would inevitably affect the workers more than the cartels, and those would probably just pivot to another industry. So it's almost entirely up to the Mexican government to find a solution to this urgent problem, as avocado consumption is up in the US and Mexico can heavily capitalize on it. From 1997, the year Mexican avocados were legalized in the US, to 2018, avocado consumption has more than tripled in the States, coming from 2 pounds to 7.5 pounds annually per person. The Mexican government has a very good interest in the avocado market going well. Now, this story is a bit more complicated than that, so if you want to get the full picture, you should definitely check out the links in the description and consider subscribing.